Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Unlock Hidden Value in Your Fixed Assets. We're so excited to have you with us today, and we have a great presenter from Sage, Ed Williams. So we're going to let him get started with all the great information he has for you guys in just a minute. But before then, we want to go over a couple housekeeping items. So today's session is going to be recorded. We're sending it out tomorrow afternoon to anyone who attended today and also those who were registered but were unable to attend. Everyone has been placed on mute just to keep the background noise to a minimum, but however, you can ask questions throughout the webinar at any time. We encourage you to go to the question section or the chat section of your GoToWebinar and ask any questions, and then we're going to answer all those questions at the end of the session. If this session cuts out, you can also call back in using the link in your GoToWebinar email. There's a couple handouts that you can look at and download today, and you're also able to change the layout of your GoToWebinar to zoom in on the presentation, hide cameras, things like that. So before we get started, we just want to ask a quick poll. So we're asking, what is the biggest challenge you're currently facing managing your fixed assets? So if you're here today, I'm sure you've got something to do with your company's fixed assets. So is your biggest challenge data entry and tracking, keeping up with those compliance and tax regulations, integrating fixed assets management with maybe your Sage ERP or other software, or generating those reports in an easy way? And it looks like we're a bit across the board, which I would expect. So pretty even split across data entry, compliance, and that accurate reporting. Okay, so we're going to close this out. So you're in a good place to be if those are your challenges. And Ed, why don't we dive into some of those today? Maybe give the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ed Williams. I am the sales engineer for Sage, specifically for the Sage Fixed Assets Account Managers here at Sage Software. I've been with the company for 8 years. I am a Sage Fixed Asset Certified Implementation Consultant and also a Sage Fixed Asset Certified Master Application Specialist. I have done 2 years with support, 5 years with expert services where we did customized work, and now 2 years almost as the sales engineer, and I do all of the demos and answer technical questions for customers if they have any. So what I'm going to do right now is turn off my camera. I just wanted you to be able to put a face to the name, and the name is Ed, so I'm turning the camera off. Okay, here we go. So time saving in automation. Let's talk about time saving. Fixed assets management often involves tedious manual tasks and lacks transparency across an organization. With a dedicated fixed assets management solution like Sage Fixed Assets, these tasks are going to be streamlined and the workflow is going to go a lot better. You're going to be able to plan your disposals, your additions, transfers, and all of the information that you need to do when it comes to that asset management. So as we move forward to the next slide, you'll see that also in here, we have what we call our modules. Now, we have 4 different modules in the Sage Fixed Asset Suite. Let's talk about the depreciation module and how this actually saves you time. You can rest assured that we have, for the past 30 years, had the most accurate tax calculation depreciation engine in the industry. It gets rid of the headaches. It takes the guessing game out of the equation. It handles cost adjustments. You can dispose of assets, transfer assets, run depreciation, post your debits and credits, all in an automated way. Plus, it keeps you in compliance with the IRS. We have over 300,000 IRS rules and regulations built into the application. So the application is not going to let you do anything that is not currently in the IRS rules. And we have the rules base that is going to keep you in compliance. It handles the cost adjustments very easily and very quickly, not a manual process. And you will also be able to stay in compliance with SOX, okay? And throughout the application, you're going to notice that it is totally customizable to what the customer's needs are. Okay, so we have that flexibility that we can provide. As we move to the next slide, this is the second module, which is the planning module, but we call it the construction in progress, not to be confused with planning for budgets. It's actually for any construction in progress application or projects that you may be running. It's going to save you time. It's going to allow you to take the information that you put in there. If you want to create a capitalized asset, then what that's going to do, it's going to integrate with your Sage Fixed Assets Depreciation module, and it's going to build those assets as you tell it that spend it is complete on a line item. It also is going to keep track of those invoices that you have inside of the CIP module, which is going should equate to your acquisition value of the asset itself. Moving on to the next slide, we're now looking at what we call tracking. This is our process or our application that's going to allow you to conduct inventories on your assets, okay? You can put barcode labels on your assets. You can go around, schedule your inventories on a 10% monthly that will get you 100% by the end of the year, but you're going to know where your assets are. If an asset moves, without being reported to the application, then once you conduct that inventory, it's going to find that application in its new location. And it's also going to allow you to make that change. So then when you finish the inventory and you put that information into the system, not only is it going to change it in the tracking module, it's also going to change it in your depreciation module. So those two applications are going to mirror each other because they use the same database. We have customizable fields inside of tracking as well as customizable fields inside of fixed assets. So you have 10 customizable fields in fixed assets. You have 17 additional customizable fields inside of your tracking module. So if we move to the next slide, how does this actually help you? Not only does it bridge the gap between maintenance, accounting, and managing fixed assets, it helps you with your workflow. If you want to do the procedures as far as a desktop SOP, you can do that. You can add bulk import of assets inside of your depreciation module. You can set up maintenance inside of your tracking module, which is then going to allow you to do either your maintenance for vehicles, or if you want to use it, maintenance for printers or copy machines that you have in your organization. Also, if you want to use it, if your IT department wants to use it for lifecycle replacements of IT assets, because most lifecycle replacement for those IT assets is set at 3 years so you can stay current with the latest technology. You will be able to do this all inside of this tracking module, okay? Without having to go out and buy a full blown system that is going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay? As we move to the next slide, automation allows for real-time transparency. Okay. One of the major challenges in asset management is waiting for updates from different departments. With Sage Fixed Assets, you get instant visibility into your assets, conditions, and locations, enabling you to make decisions quickly. No more waiting on others for updates. It's done within the application. And if you're looking at the screenshot right now, then what you see is the information for a particular assets, and these are the different books that you can use. That information is going to be updated instantaneously as you make changes to the asset. Not only is it going to give you that real-time transparency, it's also going to provide the history of the asset from inception to the end of life of the asset. So everything that you do with that asset, it's going to track that history. That information is good that you can present it to an auditor if you have ever have to go through an audit. And with Sage Fixed Assets, you're always going to be in compliance, so you're not going to get any dings when it comes to audits. So if we move on to the next slide, the seamless compliance, over 300,000 IRS rules and regulations. Also included, if you have Canadian organizations, you can actually stand up Canadian organizations that are going to have the Canadian rules. The audit advisor that's built into the application, it is going to let you know if there are exceptions to assets, and it's going to give you a resolution to that. Does it mean that you have to do it? No, it's just a recommendation, but you will know in advance if you have an asset that may raise a red flag. Example, if you have an asset, we'll say a vehicle, and you only use that vehicle for 50% business use. Well, according to the IRS, an asset that is not used 100% in the business is subject to uh, information that is not going to be reported on taxes. So that will be identified, and it will give you the option of whether or not you want to go through and correct that based on the resolution that the asset advisor is going to give you. Okay. Over 50 different depreciation methods, over 7 books. You can have anywhere from 1 book to 20 books. So you can set those books up any way that you want, 1 to 20. Okay. And if we move to the next slide, effortless integration. Doesn't everybody want effortless integration? Right now, it's available. Okay. We integrate seamlessly with Sage ERPs, including Sage Intacct, Sage 100, and Sage 300. But we also can do integration into other ERP systems, ensuring that your general ledger information, those debits and credits that we want to keep track of, and those gain and losses that we're going to keep track of with a journal entry for a disposal, all of that is integrated into these applications. Okay. Now, once we move over to the next slide, data is only valuable if you can turn it into actionable insights. Sage Fixed Assets offers comprehensive built-in reports and custom optimization to make that better. Did I mention that out of the box, we have over 28 standard reports that comes with the application out of the box? Not only do we have those 28 standard reports, we also have 10 tax reports that you can run at the end of your fiscal year close. You can generate your own 4562 that you can then send over to your CPA that will be included in your tax filing for your corporate taxes. Also, 4797, buy and sell of properties, that's going to be captured also. So all the way from the inception of the asset to the end of life of the asset, we have you covered with this asset management system. Okay. Increase security with access with SWK's hosting, and I turn it back to you.
Thank you, Ed. So, we just talked a lot about Sage Fixed Assets and all the things it can do for you. So, why are we talking about SWK's hosting? Well, we want to make sure that, in addition to, fixed assets itself, you can also use secure cloud hosting to increase a couple things. So, on the side, what can you host, security and support, and why cloud? So, you can host your Sage fixed assets in the cloud as well as your ERP. And why would you do that? The support and security is like the one major aspect most people know for cloud hosting. So it's, versus one IT person, you have a whole team that 24/7 monitoring. It really increases the security on top of what's already there from Sage. And then you have the backups. If something happens, worst case scenario, you have backups from, the day before, things like that. And then what most people may not know about for cloud hosting is, the big piece is anywhere, anytime access from any device. So you're not stuck, in the office, that one computer, that's where you can access your fixed assets. Um, and also another underknown aspect is the easier updates and upgrades. When everything's in the cloud, it's much easier to push, and the speed and ease of those upgrades really increases. And there's cost savings to be known as well, because you can estimate these. It's, on-prem, it's not, in person, maintaining hardware, things like that. So in general, we just want to touch on cloud hosting a little bit when it comes to managing your fixed assets, because there's a lot of value in having that anywhere access, there's cost savings, and the less management. I mean, we're here to talk about fixed assets because no one wants to do the manual spreadsheet anymore. And so take it another step farther with getting that access and management off the shoulders of your company, and allow you to focus more on the real important things like finding the hidden value in your fixed assets and those cost savings. Just a little bit about fixed assets. And as we promised today, short and sweet. So Ed really delivered with a lot of information in a short amount of time, just touching on the high level of how Sage Fixed Asset software can really take that manual spreadsheet effort and give you time-saving automations, better reporting, and things like that. But since everything's so high level, I'm sure we've got some questions out there in the audience. So we're going to do two things quickly. Is one, we want to run a quick poll. Don't want to jump ahead of ourselves there. We're going to run a quick poll if my technology will cooperate with me. And we're also going to dive into some questions. So let's see if I can get some cooperation here. Before we dive into Q&A, we just want to ask, at this high level introduction into Sage Fixed Assets, are you interested in learning more? So, we didn't go into the software itself today. So would you like to see the software in action with a personalized demo? Do you just want to see some more information on Sage Fixed Assets or on cloud hosting itself? Or is this something that, you're still going to be exploring with your team, or maybe just here to get some information? And then in the meantime, Ed, I've got some great questions that have come in. If you have a question out there that you've not submitted yet, please go ahead and get it in the question section of the GoToWebinar, because we have the experts here. And Ed, as I'm about to close out this poll, I'm going to go ahead and give you the first questions we've had. So out there in the audience, we'd like to know, does Sage Fixed Assets leverage AI at all? And if so, how?
Right now with version 2024.1, what we've done is we've started using AI for answering questions that you would normally have to waste time on in a chat room trying to get a support technician with Sage. So what we've done is created Ally, and Ally has the knowledge of all of the knowledge base articles that's been written by Sage, and also information that is provided in the end user's guide that comes with the application, and also the links guide. So I can ask Ally, how do I run depreciation? She will go out and check every knowledge base article that's been written on the subject and give you those step-by-step processes. Right now, she's still learning, but a majority of the questions, 99% of the questions, she can answer. So now that gives you time back in your day. As we move along with the next iteration, then there's going to be more things that you can do. And oh, by the way, Ally will not just answer questions on Sage Fixed Assets. If you're in the Sage Fixed Assets module and you think to yourself, Oh, I'm also running Sage Fixed Assets tracking. So I need to know how to create a barcode label. While you're in the depreciation module, you can ask Ally how to generate barcodes, and she will go out and get you the answer and show you those step-by-step procedures that you can do.
That sounds really cool, Ed. So glad to know that there is some new functionality out there. Um, in addition to that question, we had someone ask, what are the benefits of a Sage Fixed Asset subscription? So can you touch on the subscription a little bit?
Yes, with the subscription model that we've moved to, all of the enhancements and the additional features that we're building into the application is basically going to only be in the subscription model. Now, what do I mean by that? If a customer right now is on a perpetual license, then there are certain functions that's not going to be available. For instance, if I wanted to do a disposal, I would have to do it one at a time, or I would have to do a bulk disposal. Now, with the subscription model, you can actually go in and import those disposals. So if you have anywhere from 1 to 1,000 assets that you want to dispose of in a month, you put the system number in, you put the disposal date and the disposal method for a full disposal, and if you want to do a partial disposal, you put all of that information in, plus what book you want and how much of the asset you want to dispose of. It's going to generate those worksheets that it would do from within the application. And it's also going to generate on that worksheet, it's going to show you your gain loss. So then you can go in and make those journal entries in your ERP system. So the subscription model is a lot better than perpetual. And a lot of customers are now deciding these are some of the functionalities that I need that's only allowed in a subscription model. And they're actually moving from perpetual into the subscription model. And as we go along, then there's going to be a lot more features that are coming along that is only going to be available in the subscription model.
That is great to know, Ed. Got some more questions coming in. So the next question is, we use ScanCo. Does it integrate with it? Which I think, Ed, unless you want to touch on, I think I can speak to this a bit. So if you're using ScanCo, there wouldn't be, like one-to-one integration with Sage Fixed Assets, but these things could integrate with your ERP. So if you have ScanCo, it likely integrates with your ERP, just like Sage Fixed Assets can integrate with your ERP and become, one area of information. So if that's your question, definitely we can reach out to you, or, reach out to us and your SWK rep, and we can have, a full conversation about how these different tools can all work together. And then, Ed, we've got another question from the audience, potentially our last one, unless I see some other ones come through. But this person said, I only need depreciation and planning. Can I purchase each application separately?
Well, when you bundle those applications, like you only need planning and you only need depreciation, right? That's called a a project pack. Not only will you get planning and fixed assets, but you'll also get the crystal reports, the reporting server, right? So that is built into that, right? If you only want to do fixed assets and tracking, then that is the track pack. If you want all three, then it's going to be the complete pack. But any pack that you get, a combination of two applications or two modules, you automatically get the third module, which is reporting. That's already built into that for you. But we're also working on being able to split out the planning, and say I want 10 users for planning, but I only need 3 users for fixed assets. We're working on splitting that out to where you can purchase your 10 user license for planning and your 3 user license for depreciation. Coming soon.
I love the sneak peek into the coming soon features, Ed. That's great to know. So I think it looks like that's our last question. So thank you everyone for some great questions that we haven't touched on yet. Um, as promised, short and sweet today. So we want to say a quick thank you for joining us. And if you're an SWK customer and you want to learn more, you can always reach out to your SWK rep, or you're always able to reach us at info@swktech.com. Don't forget to grab the handout before you leave today. But thank you all for just taking a bit of time out of your day to spend with us in this session. We hope you found some new information and found it informative.
Thanks, everyone.